class. This is a tutorial on how to do nested loops. I've noticed that a number of you didn't quite absorb nested loops from 110, so I've got a series of nested for loops here that I want to show you examples for. First, let's go down and just do some real basic for loops. So the for loops consist of three parts in the for loop. So there's declaration, and I'm going to say row for now, and I'll explain more about why I'm doing that later, but row is less than or equal to 5, row plus plus, and you don't actually need to have the brackets if you just use a single line, but I'm going to go ahead and do that for consistency for you. Okay, so what this is going to do is this is going to execute, the for loop is going to execute everything within its brackets. So from here to here, it's going to execute it. First, it's going to initialize row equals 1. And then it's going to check to see whether the conditional is true. It's going to check whether row is less than or equal to 5. So it's going to, row value is going to be 1. Oh, in fact, here, let's try this. Let's do row plus hello. So it's going to do row value, and then it's going to evaluate that it's true, so it'll print it. Then it's going to do this thing here. So in this case, it's incrementing row, but it could be anything. And then it's going to check, again, is row less than or equal to 5? So let's just go ahead and run this. And so we see that it does it 5 times, and it prints out this simple statement. Now, it doesn't always have to be 1. A lot of times we'll do 0 and then less than 5. And this is going to go loop from 0 to 4. And we use that when we're iterating through strings or through arrays, or for some reason you need a 0. It doesn't have to be 0. We could do from 10 to less than or equal to 15. It doesn't really matter. It generates, actually, oops, okay, that's more like doing 0. So you're going to have to do less than or equal to 14 in order to generate those 5 there. And we can also go down. So let's try row 5. We want to do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're going to put, well, row is greater than 0. We're going to decrement. Okay, so we can go up, we can go down. We also don't have to go one at a time. We can go, let's go back up. And let's go up to 10, but instead of row plus plus, let's do row plus equals 2. Okay, so now we're doing 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, or let's do the evens, starting at 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And in the future, I'm just going to hit Control F11 to run these things. Okay, so we've talked about the starting value can be anything. You can go up, you can go down. What about, yeah, okay, so for simple loops, let's do that. Okay, so the first thing that we were trying to do is we were trying to print out 5 of these sets of 5. So we can just do, let's go back here and replace this with star 5 stars, and let's go back and replace this with 1 less than or equal to 5, and row plus plus. Okay, Control F11. Boom. Okay, that's exactly what we need. Now, what happens if we want to do more rows? Remember, we can change it to be 7. Control F11. Or what happens if I want it to be twice as many? Let's do 7 times 2. Control F11. Great, so we understand how to control the number of rows. Now, what if I don't want to print 5? What if I want to print 3? I can modify it and just like that, and Control F11. And now it's only printing 3, or what if I want to print, I don't even know how many that is, Control F11. But as you can see, we don't always want to be going in here modifying this. What instead can we do? We can do an inner loop. For int call equals 1 call less than or equal to 5 call plus plus. So let's go back, change this conditional back to 5, and now run this. Oops. Okay, we have a syntax error or something. Okay, yeah, I forgot to put something in here. System.out.print of star. And now let's see what happens. This is not going to work right, but let me just try it and see. Oh, we got one big line. Why did we get one big line? Well, it's because we're just doing print. When we're done with the columns, all 5 columns being printed, we really need to put a system.out.println with no args. Okay, now when we run that, now that gives us the 5 rows that we want. Okay, so now what happens, let's try that again. So let's suppose we want 7 columns. What happens if we want 3 rows? Okay, so you guys see how we can control that. Now, let's go take a look again at what we've got up here. So we did the stars. Next is we want to do it with numbers. Okay, so we want, there's actually 6 across and 4 down here. So first, let's figure out how do we put, instead of stars, how do we put numbers in here? Well, we're not going to hard code a number. We actually want 1s in the first row, 2s in the second row, 3s in the third row. Remember how earlier I used the loop variable in the print statement? We can do the same thing here. Let's try, first of all, columns, okay? Columns, that's what's controlling this, printing that column. That's column 1 through 7. So actually what I think is going to happen is it'll print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And let's go ahead and change this back to, we actually wanted 6 columns, and I think we wanted 4 rows. Let's try running that. Okay, so yes, so that printed the columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what we really wanted, we wanted all 1s in the first row, right? All 2s, all 3s, all 4s. So really what we want is we want the row number. So let's replace column with row. Okay, so that's what we wanted there. Now, the next thing to look at is this triangle here. So we want 5 rows. How many columns do we want? Well, we need at least 5, at most 5 columns. So let's put 5 there. Now, what are we printing here? We're going to printing stars. Okay, so let's try. Stars. Okay, let's just run that and see what happens. Now, what we're going to get is we got the stars, but now we need to start cutting these stars back. So each time, let's put a comment in here. Print stars want 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. And we can also say rows equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Need 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Expression. Something about row, okay? We need to multiply or add something to row. So let's look at this. Row is equal to 1. Row needs to be 5. So let's try adding 4. Now, whenever you're doing loop programming, you need to check the next thing. Okay, so here's 2. If I added 4 to that, I would get 6, not 4. So that's not going to work. What else can we do? Do we need to multiply? Let's see. So 1 to 4, 2, 1 to 5, 2 to 4, 3 to 3, 4 to 2, 5 to 1. That's not a multiplication thing. It's not going up or down by 2 or 4 or whatever. It's actually inverse. And so how do we get the inverse of this? What can we do to 1 to get 5 out of it? Well, we could take 6 minus 1 is equal to 5. 6 minus 2 is equal to 4. And then we always check the last one. What's 6 minus 5? That's 1. So that sounds like the right expression. So let's put that in here. 6 minus row. Run that. Okay, so now we're getting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That is correct. Let's take a look at the next one. The next one is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's the same. So why aren't we getting it? Oh, because there's spaces at the front. There's several ways of doing this, but the most straightforward way, based on what you've learned so far, is to have a separate print spaces, okay? Print stars. So to print the spaces, now we're going to need to have some loop. And the spaces are going to be, let's just say 5 for now. Spaces plus plus. And now let's put in our brackets. And then we know we're going to need a system.out.print of some number of stars. No, actually spaces, sorry. Okay, let's just try that. So what is this going to do? It's probably going to print 5 spaces followed by the stars. Okay, and it did it exactly that. 5 spaces followed by stars. What's the difference? What we really needed was, okay, let's put a comment here. Okay, so row equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Need 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. Expression is equal to something to do with row. Okay, row is 1. How do we get from 1 to 0? We could try row minus 1, right? That would work. 1 minus 1 is 0. What's 2 minus 1? That's 1. What's 3 minus, oh, that's not right. 3 minus 1 is 2. Yeah, okay. And so this sounds like it's right. Let's try this. I got to change this to be row minus 1. Control left 11. Hey, does that look familiar? It does look familiar. So that's a quick tutorial on how you go about it. You figure out what have you got. Okay, you've got a loop variable here. So how did I know I wanted to use the loop variable row? I know that because this pattern is varying based on the row number. Okay, remember I printed out the row number. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could, and let's try this as an experiment. We could actually change this from 5 going down to 1 decrement. Let's just see what happens if I do that. Control F11. Now, interesting, we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why did it do that? Well, because now the row, we've swapped the rows, right? So instead of this output, which we did that way, it's giving it us this way. Now, what do we have to do to change this to be what we originally wanted? Well, we're going to change this here. So the rows are now 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What we need are still 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what's the expression that takes 5 to 0? Well, it could be row minus 5, but then what happens to the next one? Row is 4 minus 5, that would be negative 1, so that's not right. Again, this is the inverse thing, right? So 5 goes to 0, 1 goes to 4, so it's probably going to be 5 minus row. So if it's 5 minus row, that's 5 minus 5 is 0. 5 minus 4 is 1. 5 minus 1 is 4. Okay, so let's do 5 minus row. And printing out the number of stars, now we need to change this. So now the row is equal to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What we need for the stars are still 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So what's the expression that does this relative to row? So 5 goes to 5, 4. Okay, it's the same thing. It's just row. So let's try that. Hey, that's looking good. So you can go either way, going up or going down. Doesn't really matter. I know that I want the row variable because that's what's changing each by row. And then I figure out what do I got for that row, for that outer loop variable. What do I need? Okay, and then figure out an expression. Sometimes this expression is not so simple. Sometimes we maybe need to multiply a row by 2. Or maybe we need to, maybe it's multiplied by 2 minus 1 or something like that. Okay, look at what if this is going, let's suppose what we had was rows equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, need 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. The expression is now going to be row times 2. Or what if what we needed was 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. That's row times 3. What if it's 2, 5, 8, 11, 14? That's almost row times 3, but it's minus 1. So you can see how we can get any combination as long as it's, programmatically, there's a rhyme and a reason to the pattern, we can make it with this. All right, so that's what you need to know for for loops. Nested for loops are absolutely critical in programming. It's not just in class, it's in real life. You absolutely need to master nested for loops. So if you have any other questions after playing with this, I would definitely recommend playing with it. Then let me know, and I will be happy to help you.